Christmas is a good time for poetry. Here's one, or at least part of it. If you were here for the Christmas pageant on Sunday, you might know where this is going. As a kid, those Sunday mornings made me restless, bored, and numb, and my Bible was the one way to pass time. So I spent the hour in search of stories brimming with suspense, and I found Esther, Ruth, and Rahab were sublime. He did say Christmas poetry, right? What do Esther, Ruth, and Rahab have to do with any of this? Okay. I'm glad you asked. Raised in the Bible Belt, former worship leader turned drag queen, singer, songwriter Flamy Grant entices us to toy with the boundaries of what is appropriate for church, as she reflects in her song, Esther, Ruth, and Rahab. On her mind-numbingly boring, not to mention male-dominated religious upbringing, finding for herself stories in the Bible that were much more interesting. Castaways who outwitted and outplayed an immigrant ancestor to the incarnate divine. There it is. What do Esther, Ruth, and Rahab have to do with any of this? Everything. Well, aside from Esther, who may not have actually existed, but that's another sermon. These are Jesus' people, his family. Their stories are in our Bible, and they're a part of Jesus' own ancestry, part of his very DNA. Those long genealogies of odd-sounding names aren't just there to trip up readers, although that's fun. There are fascinating stories tucked between the lines of those names. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Matthew begins, and quickly moves on to Isaac, the father of Jacob, but not so fast. There's the whole story of Sarah and Hagar and Ishmael buried in there too, continuing through the years with almost parenthetical asides, but mentions nonetheless to the messy, complicated, and intriguing stories of Tamar, Rahab, and Ruth, and the wife of Uriah, a.k.a. Bathsheba. So you have your reading assignment now for next Christmas. Didn't think you'd get homework on Christmas Eve, did you? These lesser-known stories surrounded Jesus in his upbringing, with Mary and Joseph undoubtedly opening the proverbial family photo album to tell him about their family, where they come from, where he comes from. These stories surround us too, every time we hear this story, as Luke tells it, beginning on the long trek from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because Joseph, and therefore Jesus, was descended from the house and family of David. Another phrase packed with meaning and wild stories tucked away between the lines. Those stories are inseparable from this story because they are inseparable from Jesus, connected as they are by DNA and family history. These stories are messy and honest and human, and to brush over these stories as though they don't exist, or worse, to ignore them entirely, is to miss the whole point of this, big seminary word incoming, this incarnational event. The Word became flesh and lived among us, which is to say the Word became human and lived not in a gilded palace or ballroom, but in a manger, surrounded by barn animals, held by his mother far from home because of a government decree that displaced an entire people, visited by nameless, unregistered, undocumented shepherds who apparently did not, or could not, or chose not to return to their hometowns, but were instead living in the fields, on the very margins of the empire. Each character of the Nativity and the family history inseparable from Jesus, each story reminding us of the God who became one of us in all the messiness and complicatedness of human reality. Each story reminding us how our scriptures are, in fact, full of flawed, messed up humans and messy stories. And this is the reality that the divine chose to step into anyway. It doesn't get much more good news of great joy than that God himself would step into the mess of a messed up human family, all because God loved that human family so much. Christmas is a good time for poetry, so here's another one, this time from Mary Oliver in her poem, Making the House Ready for the Lord. Dear Lord, I have swept and I have washed, but still nothing is as shining as it should be for you. Under the sink, for example, is an uproar of mice. It is the season of their many children. What shall I do? And under the eaves and through the walls the squirrels have gnawed their ragged entrances, but it is the season when they need shelter. So what shall I do? And the raccoon limps into the kitchen and opens the cupboard, while the dog snores, the cat hugs the pillow. What shall I do? Beautiful is the new snow falling in the yard, and the fox who is staring boldly up the path to the door. And still I believe you will come, Lord. You will. When I speak to the fox, the sparrow, the lost dog, the shivering sea goose, know that really I am speaking to you whenever I say, as I do all morning and afternoon, come in, come in. From a messed up family tree, descended from the house and family of David, Jesus is born. Into this messed up and messy human reality, Jesus is born. For those of us on top of every last detail, with everything as shining as it should be, and those of us who are barely holding it all together, if at all, Jesus is born. For those of us who put up our trees on November 1st, and those of us who still struggle to feel the joy of this season, Jesus is born. For those of us who doubt and question and wrestle, and those of us who are lonely or angry or afraid in these days, Jesus is born. Into this messed up and messy human reality, Jesus is born. For us, for you, for all. Good news, great joy.